typical mango harvest somewhere in Ghana. What these workers don't realize, this type of harvesting is one of the most effective ways to destroy the output of their own hard labor.
Let all the harvesters, we meet under that tree.
Agronomist Daniel Komayire came to inspect the harvest.
As I observe you harvest, I have seen a lot of things that you are doing wrong.
Harvest is a very crucial part of your work as a farmer. If you get it right, you will be rewarded with higher yields and better fruit quality, which translates to more income. In this film, we will show you what you need to do to improve your harvesting practice.
You agree with me that it's not all these fruits that are matured. Some are more matured than others. You can see this fruit. It's not matured as compared to that big fruit lying down there. So if you harvest this fruit, you are actually wasting the fruit.
Mango trees usually do not produce all their flowers at the same time. Some flowers appear very early and others much later. The time gap in between the first and the last flowers is generally 3 to 4 weeks. This means your fruits will also develop at different times. A farmer who wants to harvest all at once will do it on a day when most of his fruits are ready. But on that day, he is faced with fruits in roughly 3 different maturity stages. About 50% of his fruits are actually at the right maturity level. About 25 will be too green and another 25 are already overripe. Roughly half the fruits will be harvested at the wrong time. Out of this half, lots of fruits are unacceptable for any buyer and will end up rejected. The worst consequences for your farm come from overripe fruits. They attract birds, bats, fruit flies, and diseases onto your farm. Pests and diseases create additional threats for healthy parts of your orchard.
Because your flowers don't come at the same time, your fruits will not set at the same time. And so the maturity of the fruit will not be at the same time. That is why it's very important that when we are harvesting, we do selective harvesting, we pick out only the matured ones.
This is how you do selective harvesting. When the first early fruits reach maturity, you go for a first session and only harvest these fruits. 7 to 10 days later, the majority of fruits reach maturity and you return for a second session. Once again, you only pick matured fruits. After another 7 to 10 days, you come for the final harvest.
We are picking the fruits selectively. We are taking out only matured fruits. Fruits that are not matured, they are left on the tree.
To apply selective harvesting, you need to be able to tell when your fruits reach maturity. Matured means the fruit received all the necessary nutrients from the mother plant to start ripening. A matured fruit is not yet ripe, but if a mango is plucked before maturity, it will never become a ripe fruit.
So there are some simple features you have to look on the fruit. That tells you whether the fruit is matured or is not matured. First, a mature fruit, the pedicle drops inside. So you see that the shoulders will raise up and then the hanging point drops inside. Secondly, the other outside thing you can see is that when you look at the skin of the fruit, you see some spots on the skin of the fruit. We call them lenticels. So if the fruit is not mature, they are alive, they are white. As the fruit matures, they change color, they are growing old, they change color to yellow. And if the fruit matures, they change to brown. The brown means that all these lenticels are actually dead. That is why a matured fruit actually ripens very fast, because all the cells that are holding the fruit together begins to die off. And then the other thing is that when the fruit is matured, the hanging point begins to dry out, because the fruit is no longer feeding from the mother plant. Some fruits, you see that here is still fresh. The fruit may be big, but you see this place still very fresh. It means that the fruit is not matured. It's still feeding from the mother tree.
So this is how your mango matures ideally. The panicle sinks into the fruit, or the fruit raises its shoulders, however you want to look at it. The lenticels change from white to yellow to brown, and the stalk dries up. Let's try the maturity check in the field. We are looking for fruits that just reach maturity. Do you think this fruit should be plucked? First, check the neck, then look at the lenticels, and finally, check out the stalk. We decided this fruit is matured. Try your skills on a few more examples. We hope you got these right, but keep in mind, this is only to guide you. Mangoes develop all a bit different depending on the variety, soil nutrient levels, and other individual factors. To improve your ability to read maturity levels, you need to combine the theoretical knowledge displayed here with experiences from your own farm. This is another way to determine the maturity of your fruits. At the beginning of the flowering season, the farmer attached red flags to branches with the first flowers. Branches with the next batch of flowers were marked yellow and the last batch with green flags. The farmer takes note of the date each batch started flowering. Thanks to the color tags, this farmer knows exactly where to find fruits that have reached their maturity date. But even this well-organized farmer will not just go ahead and start harvesting. After estimating maturity by looking at external factors like appearance and time, you now need to open up a few sample fruits. You move from the so-called non-destructive maturity assessment to a destructive method.
With the destructive maturity check, the equipment you need is your refractometer. That is used to check the Brix or the sugar content in the fruit. And then you need your color chart that checks the internal color of the fruit. You divide the full fruit into 3 equal parts. And then you cut the first part from the tip end of the fruit through into the seed. So you cut it halfway, you make sure you're cutting halfway from the seed to the outside skin. So then you cut the slice off. You are cutting this way because when you cut so close to the seed, the Brix in the seed is too high. That will not give you very good results. When you cut also so much outside to the skin, you get a very low internal color or Brix because it starts maturing from the seed into the outside skin. So you cut the middle way. After cutting, you need to check the Brix, the sugar content in every fruit. You try to loosen the inside a bit so that when you squeeze, the water can come out. You calibrate the refractometer to 0. You pour water onto the refractive lens, and then you make sure that it reads at 0 before you start your check. So you squeeze the juice of the fruit on the refractive lens of the refractometer. You close it, and then you point the lens, the refractive lens, onto the direction of the sun. That gives you a much clearer reading. And then you read the Brix content within the fruit.
This is how the scale inside the refractometer looks like. You can read the Brix at the line between white and blue. This mango has a Brix of 6.4, meaning the extracted juice contains 6.4% of sugar. The more Brix, the sweeter the fruit. Mr. Komayire checks these mangoes for processing into dried fruits.
This fruit is not matured enough for processing because we need a green matured Brix of 9 degrees, but this gives us 6.4 degrees. The next one is to check the internal color of the fruit using our color chart. The color chart ranges from 0.0 to 0.6, from white to deep yellow. You take your fruit and then you place the color chart on top of it, and then you try to match where the fruit color is. This gives us internal color of 0.3.
Brix level and color chart value help you determine the exact maturity level of your fruits. At which level of maturity you are supposed to harvest depends on 2 factors. First, the variety of mango, and second, the market you are selling your fruits. Mangoes for the local markets require a different maturity compared to export fruits. In export, it depends if the fruits travel by air or sea. Processing companies producing juice or dried fruits have again different requirements. Talk to your buyers to find out what brix level and internal color they are looking for. With a combination of all these methods, non-destructive and destructive, you should be able to achieve a precise assessment of maturity. Once you know which fruits to pick, the next challenge is to pluck them without causing any harm to the fruits. Like we said in the introduction, these workers are not doing it correctly.
This cannot be a good harvesting tool because when it picks, it doesn't hold the fruit. It allows the fruit to come and drop on the ground. And when it's coming from a high ground, they say that a fruit that drops above 2 meters from the ground suffers an internal crack.
Internal cracks, even if invisible at first, are a serious problem for your mangoes.
Don't forget, as the fruit is there, there are some fungal infections on the fruit. You don't see them, but there's a fungi on the fruit. And if you don't handle it well, because you have provided that point for the fungi to grow, to begin to grow very fast and cause a decay from that point.
To avoid this, you need to invest in proper picking poles.
So by using this, you are solving the problem of your fruits hitting the ground and getting bruises and getting internal damages. There is a blade here that does the cutting. And this thing, like a block, holds the fruit. You need to turn the tool very well so that the holding happens before the cutting. So when you cut the fruit to no hole, it will drop on the ground. So you turn the tool in the right way, and then when you hold the panicle, the hanging point holds the fruit before the cutting happens. So you turn like this, you cut, and it holds the fruit.
Picking poles will also help you in another way. This is what the trees looked like after the workers were done with their old-fashioned way to harvest. All panicles were still on the tree. Panicles left behind are very bad for your orchard. 1. They are a major entry point for diseases, and 2. Remaining on the branches, they strongly reduce the ability of the tree to produce new flowers in the coming season.
If you use this one, as you are harvesting, you are taking out the panicles as well.
Being able to gently offload your mangoes into a crate not only keeps your fruit in best condition, it also improves the hygienic standard of your harvest. According to globally accepted principles for good agricultural practices, fruits should not come into any contact with the ground at all. Durability, ventilation, and the ability to stack up make plastic crates like this one here a good choice for harvesting. To make the work more efficient, you need a great number of them placed all over the harvesting area.
Before you use the harvesting equipments, we have to first disinfect them. So you just pour small of the spirit and wipe it on the cutting edge of this. So because you are using them on different farms, you are very careful not to spread diseases from one farm to another.
In case we are not able to access the industrial alcohol, can we use our local hypertension?
Yes, I think you can use your local hypertension.
Doesn't mean people should go and be drinking the hypertension.
So before I pick, I am going to look at the signs that indicates that that fruit is a matured fruit. So I'm not just going around cutting every fruit off from the tree. I'm picking only matured fruits. So I will look at the fruit. Does it indicate that the fruit is matured? No. If it is not matured, then I'll look at another one. So I can pick this one, then straight into the crate. And you see I'm cutting with the entire panicle, so I don't need to come back to pick out the panicles. So mostly what we do is that you will have like 4 people harvesting one tree. One person is holding this, picking the lower fruits. Another one is holding this, picking the high ones. Another person is holding this, and another person is holding this. So you don't struggle to pick a fruit that you cannot reach. Then eventually the fruit drops on the ground. No. If you cannot reach the fruit, just leave it. Somebody is coming with a longer tool that can pick that fruit. So I don't struggle with this to cut the fruit from the top, and then when I'm not able to reach, the fruit comes to fall on the ground. No, I just leave it and someone comes with this and pick that fruit. So you see, I pick straight into the crate. Don't forget we have this crate spread all over the farm. So wherever I am, I can just pick straight into the crate.
Let us go through the major messages once again. You should not harvest all at once. To be able to pick all fruits at their proper maturity level, you should rather go for 3 sessions of selective harvesting. For a first judgment on maturity, you need to look at the neck of the mango, the lenticels on the skin, and the stalk. For a more precise maturity analysis, you need to check bricks level and internal color. To harvest without damaging your fruits, you need to work with proper picking poles. Don't let your fruits get into any contact with the ground at all. Good selective harvesting requires more work and investment into the right tools. Higher yields and better fruit quality easily outweigh the additional time and money you put into the work. Thank you for watching. If you found the information useful, you are invited to check out our other videos covering topics such as disease control or pruning. We wish you all the best for your next mango harvest.